Well, hello. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about syntax of declarative sentences. You know, in the past, you've learned about different kinds of sentences in English, and I'm going to show you what implications this has for Spanish in the future as we go into the course. And right now, let's just kind of set the basis for this information so that we'll be able to take it to the next step, the next level, in just a few minutes. All right, so first, there's different kinds of sentences. You know, there's interrogative sentences that form a question. There's declarative sentences that just make a statement. There's imperative sentences that make an exclamation or a command. There's exclamatory sentences that make an exclamation. They end with an exclamation point, you know. There's different kinds. But the simple, most normal, typical sentence is a declarative one. It just says something, just makes a statement. But you know, in English and really in Spanish, there's a syntax. That means that there is a certain order for each element in the sentence. And most of the time, we call that syntax or that word order SVO. So here it is, SVO, and that stands for subject, verb, object. And pretty much Spanish and English more or less kind of follow that in a lot of sentences. So let's kind of look at how that works. Let's look at a simple, normal, declarative sentence, and let's look at the syntax it has. All right, here's one right up here, example number 1. All right, here's example number 1. The boy drives the car. So first, you know, we can divide that sentence into two main parts. All right, so the first part of the sentence here is the subject of the sentence, and here we're going to divide it right there. And this second half of the sentence that has the verb and other stuff is called the predicate. So we have the subject, and the predicate. The subject has the subject, the topic, the simple subject we call it, the noun that the sentence is about, and then any words that describe the noun, like maybe an article like the or a or an, or you know, an adjective that describes the noun. That's going to be up there in the subject part of the sentence. Then on the other side, you've got the verb and the other stuff that goes along with the verb, like, you know, maybe a verb, maybe like an adverb that ends in ly or something, and then like a direct object and an indirect object, or what other stuff is in the sentence. That's all in the predicate. Okay, so we can easily identify, you know, and break the sentence down into its two main parts. All right, let's look at the subject portion of the sentence real quick. Here we have the boy. All right, so all this is the subject portion of the sentence. And inside of it, you got the simple subject, which we call the noun or the nominative. And that noun right there is the topic of the sentence. That's what it's all about. And then we have an adjective, which happens to be called an article, the. And it tells us something about boy. What does it tell us? Well, it says that it's the boy. That it's, you know, a particular boy. Not just like a boy, any boy, but a particular boy. So it does tell us, it is an adjective, it does describe, and it does tell us something about boy, that we're talking about a particular boy, the boy, okay? That's good for the subject part. You know, we could have some adjectives too, describing the boy, the smart boy, the fun boy, you know, whatever. All right, on the predicate side of the sentence, we got the verb drives. What kind of verb is it? You know, it's an action verb. Drives is an action. What other kind of verbs are there? Well, generally there's action verbs and then there's being verbs. You know, action verbs are like drive or walk or run or do or something that, you know, has an action. And then being verbs are like am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, and there's others. But those are like, you know, being verbs. Okay, so those are the two main kinds of verbs. Action verbs, being verbs. And that's important to know because it determines what the rest of the sentence is going to have in it. So for example, if you have an action verb, then the next thing in the syntax that you're going to have is probably a direct object or an indirect object. That's just how it works. Hey, SVO, subject, verb, object. That's the order, that's the syntax that most sentences got. Okay, so stay with me. We got the action verb, drives, and then what does he drive? Because direct objects, they answer the question who or what, does it? A car. Okay, so look, we got a subject. Let's use a square for that. And then we have a verb. Let's call it a triangle. Okay? And then what's next? The object. We'll use a circle. So you got a topic of a sentence. The topic, which is the subject, does something. It does an action. And that action happens onto a target. What does it happen onto? It happens onto the direct object. And so in this case, it's the car. The boy is the subject. The boy does something, which is the verb. It's an action verb. And that action is executed onto a target. And that target is, bam, direct object. Okay? So subject, verb, object. The verb executes some kind of action and it lands on that object. So the boy, the topic, does an action, he drives, and that action of driving is executed onto, bam, the car. Okay? Subject, verb, object. So you got a thing, and that thing does something, and it does something to somebody or with somebody or on somebody. That's the car in this case. That's what the driving happens on, right? Okay, well, if you have an action verb, you have to have a direct or indirect object. That's your only choice. Okay? Because you got to have a thing you're talking about. You got to have some kind of action that's happening. And that action has to be done to somebody or, to something. In this case, a car. So that's how it works. You got a topic, I'm the subject, eat, I'm eating. What do I eat? What is the target of my eating? Bam, a sandwich, okay? I eat a sandwich. Subject, verb, object. It's the direct object sandwich. It received the action of the verb. Okay, are you with me? All right, hold on. We're going to take it one step further. All right, watch. Let's go to example 2. Example 2 right here. Let's get my stick. Example 2, Paul. Here we have a being verb, is. And then we got some other stuff in the predicate, a nice friend. Okay? So do we have an object here? No. We got a being verb. And only action verbs can have objects. So listen, we got in a sentence that has a being verb like is, for example, you're going to have subject, and then you're going to have the verb is, or am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, one of those. And then what's next? What's this next in the syntax? Not an object, no. You got to have an action verb for that. Predicate noun, predicate adjective. That's what's next. Okay, look. The bell rang. Okay. So you got Paul is a being verb, so it's just like existing, he is. And then a nice friend. So predicate noun, friend, and adjective, nice. Okay, cool. You say, fine, senor. Okay, so what? Predicate noun, predicate adjective. All right, that's the syntax. Here it is. Subject, a being verb, Predicate, noun, predicate, adjective. Okay, fine. What does that tell me? It tells me something about Spanish that's important to know. It says that the subject is Paul, and the predicate noun also refers to Paul being a friend. So they're basically the same. And you see, what does that tell us about Spanish? Paul is male. Okay, so that means amigo is going to have to be masculine. And that also tells us that nice is going to also have to be masculine, simpatico, with an O also. So amigo simpatico is going to have to match Paul. So that's how knowing the syntax of this sentence is going to impact us, and it's going to be relevant to knowing English as compared to Spanish.